Now, so I was telling you about the secure connection. That secure connection means that suppose there are two persons who are communicating with each other, A and B, right? Now, A person has to send message to the B person. The connection must be secure. The connection must be secure. There should not be any problem that arise when the data is being traveled, data is being sent from sender to receiver. So we are to ensure some technical measures, we are to ensure some protective measures that will take place in order to provide a safe channel by which the data can be transferred from sender to receiver or from receiver to the sender back, right? There should not be any hacker hacking your details or misusing your details. So for that, we have certain type of techniques that takes place. First is SSL, that is secure data transmission. SSL basically stands for secure socket layer. It is a standard security protocol which provides a encrypted connection. The word encrypted here means that suppose A person is sending data to the B person. The A person will convert the data in some coded form so that if any hacker tries to hack that data, the data is not readable by him. He is not able to modify the data. He is not able to edit the data. And data reaches safely to the receiver. Receiver will decode the data, which is known as decryption. In order to provide this encryption and decryption, certain keys are used. Encrypted key and decrypt key. And both the parties, sender and the receiver, they will be knowing the keys. They will be knowing the keys and they only know how to break the data, how to break the key. So that when at receiver side, the data is again recollected in the original form. And one thing more I would like to tell here, that when that original data is being converted to some coded form, that is known as ciphertext. I repeat the term again, class. Ciphertext means the original data has been converted to some coded form. Like suppose I want to send message to one student, send me your computer project PDF. Now this message I have to send to suppose Nalin of 10th A. Now I will convert this message into a code. Code is A12B67CDO. Now this code is known to me as well as known to Nalin. In between, if any hacker tries to hack the data, tries to misuse your data, he won't be able to break the key. So data goes protected and safely your data will reach the receiver. Am I clear up till here? If I am clear, just raise your thumb, all of you. Hurry up, class. All right. So what is secure socket layer? Secure socket layer is a standard security protocol that establishes encrypted link between web server and the web browser so that when online communication takes place between the server and the browser, the data is encrypted, the connection is encrypted, and there is no misuse of data. Then second technique we follow is data encryption. Encryption, I already told you, it is the technique by which original data is being converted to certain code so that in between the channel, if any hacker tries to access your data, the key is not being able to break by him because he doesn't know the method to break the key. So safely your data reaches the destination and privacy is maintained to the full extent. Then next is use safe protocols. In the beginning of today's lecture, I told you, whenever you are typing the website address in the URL, do check that the protocol HTTP must contain the suffix S. S means secure site, means you are having a secure connection. Your private information is not being misused and your private information is not reaching the third party. Am I clear with this topic, secure data transmission? Yes, students. Nalin, Gurjot, Raghav, Himanshu, Kamakshi. Beta, am I clear with the lecture? All right. Now proceeding to the next topic of today's is intellectual property rights, IPR. Beta, IPR is the most important concept. I tell you generally what is actually IPR. Suppose you have created one document or you write one book. You are the author of the book. You are the owner of the book. As an owner of the book, certain rights have been provided to you. It is up to you that up to what amount of information you want to share with the others. Whether you want to exchange the data, whether you want to exchange the information with others. If yes, then how much information you want to share. And if you are sharing the information, what price you will charge for it. At what price you will share. Right? So these rights which are given to the owner of the information, they are known as intellectual property rights. Am I clear with the meaning, class? Yes, beta, am I clear with the meaning of intellectual property rights? Now, so exactly what is IPR? These are the rights of the owner of the information to decide how much information is to be exchanged, shared, or distributed. Plus, it also gives the owner the right to decide that what price he will charge for it. And these rights are always given to the real owner of the information. Whatever creative work you have done, whether you have invented something, whether you have done some creative work, you have done some artistic work, some literary work, you become the owner of that work. Then the rights given are known as intellectual property rights. Now, by law, you are to safeguard your intellectual property rights. How can you protect your intellectual property rights? Beta, we can protect our intellectual property rights in three ways: patent, copyright, and trademark. By patent, by copyright, and trademark. All right. Now, what is patent? Beta, simple meaning of patent is, suppose you have invented anything. Patent is linked with the invention. You have invented one machinery, for example. So you get it registered. Once you get it registered, you got the patent for that. Right? Clear? Now you have become the owner of that machinery. You got it patent. Government has given the grant to you. Now it is up to you whether you want to modify, whether you want to sell the machine, right? And it is for a limited period of time. Clear? So what is patent actually? It is the right granted by the government to the inventor. Inventor here means the person who has invented the machine, giving the owner the exclusive right for making, using, and selling an invention for a limited period of time in exchange for the price to the public disclosure of the invention. So most important point here to note is that patent is linked with the invention, right? And it is compulsory to get your invention registered in order to get the patent. Registration is compulsory in the case of patent. Clear? Now comes copyright. The symbol of copyright is C in the circle, right? Now, copyright means the right which has been given to the owner in the case of creative work. Any artistic work, any intellectual work, any creative work. Creative, you can say here, you wrote a book. You become the author of the book, right? Then copyright is being given to you. Clear? So what is copyright? It gives the creator of the original work. Original work means the work created by the owner, not any copied work. One, you create the original work. One, you create the copy of the work. Copy is not original. Copy is the duplicate form of the work. We are talking of the original work, which is as it is created, right? So the grant, the rights that are given to such original work is known as copyright. And it is wholly solely the right of the owner that how much work he want to sell, he can publish, he can sell, and if there is any further distribution, further reproduction of the work, this right is also lies with the owner. But one thing here is that it is not compulsory to get copyright register. In the case of copyright, registration is not compulsory, it is not mandatory, it is recommended. So main difference between patent and copyright is patent is in the case of invention, copyright is in the case of creative work, right? Moving further, trademark. You visit market, you purchase one branded shoes. Suppose you purchase the shoes of Adidas. Now Adidas company has a logo, and that logo is fixed on the product that is manufactured by the company Adidas. Am I clear up till here? Immediately raise your thumb, beta. Hurry up, be fast in giving the response. All right. Now I was talking that you have purchased one shoes, right, of the company Adidas, and you will see one logo or some design or some symbol on the shoes, on the product of Adidas. That particular symbol, that particular design, it is the trademark. It differentiates one product from the other product. Like there are two companies, one is Adidas, one is Liberty. Both the companies are manufacturing shoes, but the design, the logo will be different so that the consumer, the buyer, can easily identify that these shoes are of Liberty and these shoes are of Adidas. That is called trademark. So by patent, by copyright, and by trademark, you can get your intellectual property rights protected. Am I clear up till here? Most of the time in the board examination, you get this short question of 1 mark. Name 2 ways how you can protect the IPR. We can protect IPR by 3 ways: patent, copyright, and trademark. Clear? Now, give some reasons why intellectual property rights must be protected. Why there is need that we should get our intellectual property rights protected. First of all, suppose any individual or any businessman, they have created a new software. We are to encourage them so that they design more better softwares, and if they have already designed any software, they should modify it. Modify the software as per the requirements, as per the latest technological requirements. As you know, day by day technology changes. I give one very live example to you. The mobile which you purchase 4 to 5 years ago may not be so popular nowadays, because day by day technology is being changed, day by day new models are coming into the market, so automatically the taste of the consumer shifts. If consumer today is buying one model of Vivo, the very second day or third day it might happen company launches one new model and the taste of consumer shifts to the new model, right? So accordingly we are to check, we are to see that the existing software must be modified to meet the changing trend requirements. Then, as I told you just now, that day by day technological advancements are taking place, so that we are to consider new ideas, new ways of doing work, new method, new technology that we are to introduce in our work. That for this reason also our IPR must be protected. Then, in order to increase the national economy, our investment, the investment by a different type of people, maybe businessmen, maybe government, that is essential. So for that also IPR is protected. Moving further is next topic, that is called plagiarism. In order to understand plagiarism, I tell you one very simple example. Your teacher has given you one document to write. Suppose there is one child with the name Amit. Teacher gave Amit a document to write, but teacher told Amit that he is not supposed to copy the work. What Amit did? Amit copied the work from internet or from other person and presented the work to the teacher, representing this that I have done this work. He became the creator of the work. Actually, he was not the creator of the work. Right? He has steal the information from some other source and present the information giving his own name. This is called plagiarism. This is called plagiarism. Right? So general meaning of plagiarism is to stealing someone's idea, to stealing someone's work and representing it as your own work without giving the information of the source. From whatever source you have taken the data, you have taken the information, you are not mentioning the source. Actual owner, actual creator is somebody else, and you are presenting the work as if it is your own work. That is called plagiarism. Clear? Now, in how many ways we can term plagiarism? What are the various acts that can be termed as plagiarism? When you are using somebody's work and you are not giving any credit to the another, you are not giving credit to the author, you are representing it as your own work and you are not mentioning that I have taken this work from this person, I have taken this work from this book, I have taken this work from this website. You are showing that I have created this work. Then using someone else's work in incorrect form than intended originally by the author. Modifying someone's production without attributing it to the creator of the work. You modify someone's work. You make changes in the someone's work, right? Then giving incorrect source of information. You are not revealing the exact website. You are not revealing the exact book or the author from where you have taken the source, from where you have taken the information. You are providing the wrong details. Then last but not the least, failure in giving the credit for the contribution of others. Your work which was given to you was collaboratively done by many persons. Voluntarily some persons help you. It was a teamwork, but you didn't refer it as a teamwork. You refer as if you have done this work. You fail to give credit to other persons who have helped you in doing the work. So all these cases, they collectively known as plagiarism, right? Then how we can avoid the plagiarism? We can avoid plagiarism by the following ways. First, cite your source. Cite means refer, mention from whichever source you have taken the information. Might be some book, might be some website, right? You mention that source from where you have taken the information. Suppose you are making the project now, right? These days you are making Andhra Pradesh project, right? So at the end, students, they create bibliography. They refer the name of the website or websites from where they have taken the information. They are providing the detail, they are providing the reference to all the websites, to all the necessary books they have referred in order to create the project. Clear? Then include quotations of another person's actual spoken. Suppose any author has given any definition, any author has given any quotation, any quote, any thought, enclose that quotation of the original author in double quotes and mention the name of that person who actually designed, who actually wrote that quote. Suppose Rabindranath Tagore has given some thought. When you write that thought, you mention the name of Rabindranath Tagore, right? Suppose Einstein has given any definition in the science. When you mention the definition, you mention that it has been given by Einstein. Do not represent in such a way that I have written this definition, I am the creator of this definition. You should clearly mention the person who actually originally wrote that quotation. Then paraphrase and present your idea. If you have some different idea which you have created, which you have thought, you can paraphrase it. You can, maybe you can format in some other way so that the reader can get to know clearly that this has been done by you. Then using a plagiarism checker, might be some software tool you can use that can identify that this work is plagiarism, this work has been copied. Suppose I give one example to you. You have taken some clip from YouTube and you incorporate that clip into your document, into your presentation. Then you uploaded the same matter which you have created on YouTube. YouTube will give the error, the message of copyright, because YouTube gets to know that this material has been taken from the site and you are using this material in your work without mentioning the source. You have done the plagiarism. So copyright message will appear that will warn you that either you remove the content or either you modify it. Correct? Then next is digital property rights. Many of you, almost every child, every person, they are now on social media. You have created your profiles on the social medias, right? So while filling the profile on the social media, you provide your necessary information. You fill up your personal details, name, age, address, phone number, email ID, gender, right? Maybe Aadhaar number, maybe PAN card number, maybe bank account number. All the details you are feeding in the social media profile. That information has become digital. That information is saved online, right? Or on any storage device. That is called digital property right. That is called digital property right. Means any information that is given by the user or created by the user and which exists in digital form on internet or on any storage device. Now these are the possible examples that represents digital property rights or the information that is feeded online. Maybe you have any online personal account. You have social media account on Facebook or Twitter, right? Then you are having some shopping account, maybe on a Flipkart or Amazon, you have some account. Then online storage account, you are sharing your photographs online. You are having video games account, intellectual property, or you have created some blog. You are the creator of some blog. So when the